Hello everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about a new movie, one that I've been wanting to watch for a very long time, and in the end I have a lot of mixed thoughts about it. It is the newest movie by Gareth Edwards. It is called A Creator, and I gotta say that I love sci-fi. I think sci-fi is one of my favorite genres apart from horror, and I love especially movies that center on the philosophical aspects of AI, of transhumanism, some really important stuff that I cover in my other channel, Tomorrow Matters. So if you want to listen to more stuff like that, go please visit it and give it a like and subscribe. But I was really expecting a lot about this movie because I heard good things. I heard it covered some really important stuff like regarding AI, and that's what I was excited the most about. But in the end, I got kind of like mixed thoughts about it, and I'm gonna go over why today. So Creator itself is a movie that has a lot of different aspects to it. For example, there's a lot of political themes. It has a lot of like adventure, action, and there were so many things that worked well for it and other things that held it back. So let me go first over the story so people get into the context of what I'm trying to explain. Basically, the creator sets up a world in the future where AI has been created, and for some reason a bomb exploded over in the United States. And also I'm going to go into spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie, you don't want to get it spoiled, please skip until the end. This is the final wording. But basically, a bomb was dropped in the US and the AI is blamed for it. So as a result, the United States bans all forms of AI. It bans like all the kinds of development towards AI. So basically, it becomes kind of a red scare. And that is the first of the political themes that is covered throughout the creator. Especially, it also covers like themes of imperialism, like anti-imperialism, like war. I feel like it has like a lot of messages surrounding that, especially the way AI reacts to all these things, and that only gets glossed over like in the beginning and towards the end. Like the entire movie also has like follows the main character played by John David Washington and a small girl, and the movie kind of focuses a lot on that, but also spends a lot of time just basically on nothing regarding story. So what I mean is that the movie spends a lot of time basically with like the main character and the girl just running from one place to the other, being chased by guards, like basically like the bad guys in this scenario, which are basically the Americans. So this is something that also like continues, like for example, from films with Avatar, like actually the bad guys are us, the Americans, the West, whatever you want to call it. And that is something interesting because it has a lot of like really interesting connotations on the way this is explored. But also I feel like in this movie it was kind of like goofy, same like the same thing that happened in the Indiana Jones movie, The Dial of Destiny, where the bad guys always knew where they were, so they encounter them, they fight, they escape again, they encounter them, they fight, they escape again. That's pretty much like the main middle part of the movie, like the main like hour and a half. And the really interesting aspects, for example, the AI philosophy, the political themes only like get glossed over in the beginning towards the end, and it makes them for some really good scenes, I'll admit that. For example, there's a conversation between John David Washington's character Joshua and the little girl Alfie, where she basically tells her, "I'm not going to heaven because I'm not a good person." And then she responds by saying, "I guess I'm not going to heaven either." And he asks why, and she's like, "Well, you're not going to heaven because you're not good, and I'm not because I'm not a person." And that set us up like a really interesting story that I wish like it continued, like the whole exploring the humanity of the machines instead of just like focusing on the war and like impressive action scenes. I gotta say, like the action scenes and the scenarios were really amazing, but up until that, like it doesn't really cover much of it. It feels like the movie is just like a very interesting and beautiful painting that you stare for 2 hours, but other than that, there's not really much content to it. Like there's not really many, like I said, heavy themes, like especially apart from the beginning and the end. So that is like my main issue with the movie. I guess another issue from the movie is that the characters didn't really stick with me. So this is going to be a very controversial opinion, but I felt the same thing during Rogue One. Like Gareth Edwards, this other movie, Rogue One, I feel like none of the characters really resonated with me the same way like Luke and Leia and Han Solo did, and I kind of didn't remember many of them. Like especially, for example, the only character I can really name from Rogue One is Cassian Andor, and that's only because of the series that was released, which I didn't really watch. And that's something that really disappointed me about the movie. That's like I said before, there's not really many memorable moments. Like for example, you're just wanting the movie to get into something interesting, and it does at several points, but it doesn't do that enough that makes you interesting to see like what happens, where it's going to lead. And I feel like if the movie really explored more of that philosophical, like more humane moments between Alfie and Joshua and some other characters, like more interesting and well-rounded characters, instead of just like running from one place to the other and running from one place to the other, running from one place to the other, it would have been a much more interesting movie. And the movie also feels very unresolved. For example, towards the end of the plot, there is this like mothership called the Nomad, which is basically a very destructive weapon designed by the United States to basically control the rest of the world, to attack places where AI is hidden. And it has some really interesting, amazing connotations, like on anti-imperialist, like anti-war, which reflects in real life. And the whole mission between Joshua and Alfie is to basically destroy this weapon to end the war between the machines and the humans. And they do that. They succeed in the end. They win. But also, like, the story between him and his wife, well, now ex-wife, who kind of like dies towards the end and then gets resurrected into a robot, like, ends in a very unsatisfying way. I feel like that whole story didn't really lead nowhere, especially towards the end, which feels kind of weird. It doesn't really feel like a good ending. And Alfie basically survives, and it kind of like makes you think that there's gonna be a second part. But I feel like the way it was written, like every single point, like the Joshua's motivations, the way he, like, why he's trying to protect this robot, the robot's motivation, I feel like it doesn't really lead to many interesting places half of the time. I feel like other times it was really interesting. You were expecting something else, and then boom, it like kind of like falls behind. So I feel like the movie just kind of fails in those regards, like regarding the plot, regarding the pacing, and those are my main issues with the creator. But other than that, like I said before, the scenarios, the action, everything else was really amazing, the premise, and other than that, I feel like it doesn't really do much with that source material. So basically, yeah, I think I'm gonna give the creator a 60 out of 100. It just like did a lot of things good, but not enough to me for me to call it a good movie, and especially a good science fiction and AI movie. Because like I said, it doesn't really focus on those themes much. Like I expected some really like go home on the drive and just think about the movie, think about the lessons. But other than that one line between Joshua and Alfie, like nothing else really sticks out. So anyways, those are pretty much all my thoughts on the creator. I feel like if you like science fiction, if you like Gareth Edwards' other movies, you'll enjoy it, but it's not my cup of tea. I'd rather watch, for example, Ex Machina or some other movies that take the same concept and do a much better job with it. So anyways, if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys around. So have a great day, and I'll see you later.